leave up that topic at all. It's a really good idea. Did anyone have inspiration at lunch? An idea in their head at lunch, before lunch, for my morning session, of something they can use from this morning, an idea that they can use from this morning that they would like to share with us. Anyone want to raise their hand and share an idea with us that they learned from this morning? Yeah, please.
People or some students with learning disability, it's difficult for them to read. I learned from the morning section, there's a AI tool can read the text. At the same time, the picture shows up. So I think that's a great tool to help anyone who have difficulty to read, or anyone just don't want to read, or reading and want to see the picture to help us to understand the content more deeply. So that's a great tool.
Really great idea there. Our point is multimedia, providing support for people who have different learning needs and preferences. I did a study with special education students 25 years ago, and it was sad to see what the people who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, physically immobile, dyslexic have to put up with in terms of the resource support. It was not that good in the early days of online learning. There was all these give take, and they sped up the machine going really fast so they get something useful to them. If you want to write. Yes, it's really, really interesting to think about UDL, Universal Design for Learning today, and what we could do to provide those supports for learners that are engaging, that are easy to access, that are personal, and so forth. So you got an idea beyond, well, from just right there, it gave you an idea. Experiencing that gave you an idea, right? So a workshop like this morning's would take part 2, would put people in a computer lab trying things out. I'm sorry we're not doing that. That's a good point. Anyone else want to mention something they got from this morning? Ideas they got? Did you have nice conversations at lunch? Yeah, you chatted with them a little bit, maybe, okay. So this afternoon, this was the topic I was going to talk about, but I changed it. I'm going to cover both. I have 2 titles for this afternoon. Technology today, technology tomorrow. How might learning evolutions lead to learning revolutions? You know, technology is all evolving. We're in these gigantic waves of technology change. There are 30 ways that technology has impacted teaching and learning over the past decade or 2. So I'll talk about some of those 30 ways. And I've written an article about that for my friends in New Zealand. It's in an open access journal, Flexible Learning Journal. I'm happy to send that article if you want to read the article. I also wrote a book on the waves of technology change with Dr. David Wiley, one of the founders of the open education movement. I'm happy to send that to you if you'd like. And the third piece I wrote on how synchronous learning with Zoom during COVID was really possible 30 years ago. There were more interesting collaboration tools when I started than today. This is not new. Teaching online is not new. Teaching blended is not new. Teaching with technology is not new. When I was a graduate student a long time ago, I wanted to study AI. AI is not new. Just the applications are, right? All the tools are, all the uses is easy to use. ChatGPT, just like Wikipedia, easy to use and so forth. So this, I retitled this, Awakening Dreams and Possibilities, Ushering Education 5.0 with Generative AI. Now every time I go to Thailand, they ask me to speak on a different level of education. The first time I went to Thailand, 2006, I was in Taiwan and Thailand, 2006, they want to talk about education 2.0. Then I went back to Thailand in 2013, Education 3.0. Then I went back to Thailand in 2017, Education 4.0. I'm not kidding, seriously. Every time they gave me a new topic to talk about. I went there in the fall of 2024, 5.0. So I'll lay out somewhat Education 5.0 might look like, but just as just to get you think a little bit. It's not anything definitive and so forth, but anyways, we're gonna have to wake up a little bit in here, because we ate lunch in here, right? So we have to wake up. We have to build smarter tools, right? So this is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-based, smarter, because it's time to wake up. So I want the people on the right-hand side here to say, it's time to wake up on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's time to wake up. You still say. How about people in the middle here? 1, 2, 3. It's time to wake up. Yeah, very good. How about over here? 1, 2, 3. It's time to wake up. I think the people in the middle won, so I have a couple of chocolates to throw out at you. I think Shelly should get one. Anyone in the back? Oh, there you go. Okay, it's time to wake up. All right. Well, this talk will get through technology yesterday, technology today, technology tomorrow. That's technology yesterday. During polio, students were learning through radio, right? Through correspondence. As I told people this morning, I'm a product of correspondence and television-based learning. Okay, a long time ago. This is the Plato system from Illinois, which touched screens, databases, email, hyperlinking. It's 1960 at the University of Illinois. This is for 60 years. This is not new. People are experimenting with all these technologies long before computer-based education. Of course, we got calculators. I'm a former accountant using calculators and so forth. Well, one of my advisors is this gentleman over here, Dr. Robert Clausen, who taught the courses on critical thinking, taught the courses on creative thinking that I took via correspondence. And when I got to the University of Wisconsin, he hired me to help create a critical thinking course for teachers. Teachers tackle critical thinking in the classroom. His mentor was this gentleman. His name is Charles Wedemeyer. Charles Wedemeyer is the father of distance learning. He created the OpenU and helped create the OpenU in the UK. You may have heard of the OpenU in the UK. It's huge. And all the open universities around the world. Open U's have changed the lives for many people because they can now enter into university settings without the test score requirements that we used to have in the past that wouldn't allow people to get to Harvard or Stanford or Cambridge. But now we can be learning from resources from Harvard, Stanford, and Cambridge. It's free and available online. This gentleman is the guy who created the web, Tim Berners-Lee. I had a chance to sit with him on a bus at a conference in Saudi Arabia, chat with him about the evolution of the web and the internet and where we're going. So the web is now well over 30 years old, right? It's about 34 years old, actually. We've come a long ways in the 34 years since he invented the web. This guy over here, not this guy over here, he invented what? Wikipedia. I had a chance to visit Wikipedia with my son. We went to the headquarters of the Wikimedia Foundation. They're changing the lives of millions of people. Do you know how many employees they had when I visited? 10. Maybe at the most. But they're impacting lives all around the world. Not just Wikipedia, Wikinews, Wikiquotes, Wikibooks. My students did Wikibooks. More than 20 years old now. He dropped out of my university, Indiana, to create Wikipedia. So I tell my students, drop out, make a name for yourself. Like getting a degree, you know? So I had a chance to present with him in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. He was the first keynote speaker, and then Tim Berners-Lee was the second one, and that was the third one. I was the one they forgot at the hotel, and I almost got kidnapped. True story. True story. They're just trying to extort money out of you. So be careful when you travel to Saudi Arabia and you don't have a translator with you. So around the same time, MIT president, different Charles, not Charles Wedemeyer, Charles Best, announced that we'll have free education to the world from MIT. Anyone can learn anything from anyone else at any time now because of open education. In fact, my friend translated all the MIT contents to Chinese in the OOPS project, open source, open prototype system. So his name is Lucifer Chu. I don't know if you know him, he became a politician here in Taiwan, but he's translated all the content at MIT. Now, MIT OpenCourseWare, all the courses are up there, but those not necessarily the instructor behind it, but over 2,000 courses from MIT for free. I couldn't get into MIT when I was young. I got on the ACT. I couldn't even get into Lower Potomac State University, which doesn't even exist with my test scores, okay? Today, I can learn from anyone anywhere around the world and share with anyone anywhere around the world, right? It's a new age. So Charles Vest from MIT, Charles Wedemeyer from Wisconsin have changed the world. How will you change the world? What will you do to contribute? What will be your mission or vision for what's possible in education? So these are just some example courses that people have up there at MIT, videos and texts and so forth, discussions and so forth. This kid is using the contents. I get the chance not only to watch the future happen, but I can actually be part of it. And the entrepreneur said he's using OpenCourseWare from MIT. Millions of others have used OpenCourseWare from MIT to maybe increase their test scores, to learn something, to get English placement tests and so forth. A lifelong learner who is scouring the internet looking for video-based platforms, he stumbled upon MIT OpenCourseWare and changed his life. Many people are. These people are using MIT OpenCourseWare as well, open podcasts and so forth. He's a 17-year-old Chilean student whose mission is to identify plants that can help treat illnesses, treat students' health issues. With skills acquired from MIT OpenCourseWare course on pharmacology, he led 16 fellow students in a group project to study properties of a range of medicinal plants to discover which of them would be effective remedies for common ailments among high schoolers. I dream of becoming a university academic to have an even greater impact on the university internationally. Young people today, high school and middle school kids are using free and open online contents. I did a study at Nepal. Kids in Nepal are learning English, getting certificates from Harvard and Stanford before COVID. And then during COVID, they took hundreds of classes for free online and helping each other to learn as teenagers, getting ready for college. Fascinating stuff and what's possible today. Okay, so many people are learning this kind of way. As I said, anyone can learn anything from anyone else at any time. There could be someone 100 years old in a nursing home, or the 100-year-old people in Chicago in nursing homes mentoring students in Brazil to learn English as their teachers, and giving the people who are elderly a job purpose and some meaning and so forth. Young kids today and their parents, high school kids and their parents are saying, ChatGPT is more effective than a human tutor. Interesting as this happens. Now, what are they using it for? As I pointed out this morning, teachers use ChatGPT for research, generating lesson plans, summarizing information, creating classroom materials, and students are using technology to help them be more productive and efficient, and so forth. Recently, we had the first AI-powered course taught completely by AI teachers. How will we know if it's a bot or a human, or maybe both? Well, we have an AI university. These are some of my students teaching AI university, right? Critical thinking in the digital age is the key thing that we need to start thinking about. Redesigning curriculum for detecting bias, for evaluating claims, for looking at the credibility of sources, and so forth and so on. Some teachers are worried of the death of student writing because they're utilizing AI. Someone walked up to me at the beginning, he was asking, what about reliance on the internet and so forth, over-reliance? Our professors just grading robots. That would worry me a little bit too. There are tools out there to detect plagiarism. GPT-0 is a free tool. You can pop students' papers and detect it. I noticed that journals today have when you submit an article for publication, you have to go through a plagiarism detector tool to let them know what percent is plagiarized, if any. Workplace. Much impact in the workplace. Knowledge workers are going to be among those impacted and affected quite quickly from generative AI technology. In particular, legal assistants, in particular accountants, pharmacology assistants, or so forth. Jobs. Top 10 job in LinkedIn. Artificial intelligence engineer, artificial intelligence consultant. But for me, I like number 12, artificial intelligence researcher, because I am one. I've become one. So there's hope for me just do some research on AI, you have job security. Maybe. This gentleman created Duolingo. He also created CAPTCHA, where you type in what letters you see in order to enter. You have to match up the letters and all that. I hate that tool, but there's like small fonts, and I can't read it. He built Duolingo. And now in Duolingo, they're hiring AI first, people second. He got a lot of flack on that decision recently. It was just a few weeks ago. Okay, I mentioned that in Thailand, they asked me to speak on education 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0, and there's still an education 1.0, I think some of lecture-based. We're trying to move away from lecture-based towards more discussion, projects, problems, and so forth. We have a number of people writing about education 1.0, teachers a source of knowledge, to education 2.0, where we guide students through that knowledge base, to 3.0 being an orchestrator of knowledge, using open education, supplemental materials, and so forth. We're gradually moving to lifelong learning, where students go construct and create knowledge, where learning can be enabled from anywhere you happen to be all around the world, where we co-developers and co-researchers work together to create curriculum. So we start over here, it's all teacher to student-based, authoritarian, transmitted to more socially constructed and pure interaction around that knowledge. We're moving towards this outer rim to the knowledge economy and innovation society, where students are innovation producing, not just dictating back basic facts and knowledge, but moving to produce knowledge and be an innovation society. So my students are creating books. My students are creating podcast shows. My students are doing all sorts of things today that is now possible with technology. It was possible before too. But I looked up what Wikipedia says for Education 5.0, and this is what it says. Education is an innovative approach to education that integrates advanced technology and the latest methodologies to create student-centered learning. Okay, we would be on what are components of Education 5.0? It's learner-centered, it's collaborative technology, human collaboration. We harness the power of AI, machine learning, and other technologies to complement human teachers, make learning more efficient, accessible, and engaging. We focus on the skills for the future. We focus on developing critical thinking skills, creativity, problem solving, and ethics and emotional intelligence. Real-world problem solving, we engage students in authentic, meaningful, relevant learning and teaching. Digital global citizenship, in line with global education for the world. So my students work with students from other countries and so forth. Lifelong, continuous learning. We're talking about the 60-year curriculum from 20 years old or 18 to 60 years, 80 years old. We're continuing to learn. And then sustainable and ethical learning I mentioned. So Education 5.0 focuses on personalized, learner-centered education through digital technologies and enhances engagement, improves learning outcomes, and broadens access to education. Key features are personalized learning, interactive tools, gamification, VR, and so forth. And again, we're moving from Education 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0 is an outgrowth. It doesn't add or discard proposals in 4.0, but it adds a more human perspective to it. Education enhances society. Education 5.0 focuses on preparing individual skills, mindsets to adapt to an evolving learning world. I guess that's just preliminary. We'll see what happens in the future, but I'm focused on my model called Education 2020, like 2020 vision, 2020. 20 roles of instructors and 20 new principles of learning. So instructor is a curator, like a museum curator, finding the gold nuggets and putting them on display in your class. An instructor is like a concierge at a hotel who finds different paths for you to walk down and learn from. Just like when it's raining out here in a hotel, he sends you to the museum and not exploring outside. The instructor who's savvy, who understands your needs, your learning needs, can set the resources in front of you that you best need and can learn from. So, an instructor can be a counselor, a consultant, right? Could be a coach. Can be a course ambassador, putting your syllabus on display for the world. There was a professor at Penn State. He had 200 students in his class. There were like 100,000 people using a syllabus he put online. Because he taught anatomy, and he put all these self-tests of anatomy, and students loved the self-tests. Everyone was using his anatomy self-tests. He became a course ambassador to the world. So I don't look at myself as a professor at Indiana University. I look at myself as a professor of people around the world. I bring in guests, and anyone who graduates, anyone who wants to, anyone's visiting, anyone can come. Anyone's welcome. You know? So we're cultivators, we're part chemists, we're part counselors, orchestra conductors, and all this. We create our symphony in our classroom. Teaching is more difficult than it ever was, but it's more fun, more creative, and so forth. But I've also got 20 principles of instruction. Principle of flexibility, principle of high expectations, principle of convenience, principle of sharing, as I mentioned earlier, sharing what we do, principle of autonomy and empowerment of learners, human connectedness through social media perhaps, and Line, WeChat, and other technologies, principle of failure, trial and error. You have to fail before you can succeed. We tend to eliminate failure in education, but we want to encourage it. Pixar became famous because they allowed failure. They embraced failure up to a certain point. Relevance and meaningfulness, support and feedback. Combine the two together, it's my Education 2020 model. It's my learning activation system template, or the last principles of instruction. Dr. David Merrill, who was at Utah for a long time, he created the first principles, so I've got the last principles. The last principles. Okay, it's time to wake up. This group over here, one more try. 1, 2, 3, it's time to wake up. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, it's time to wake up. Okay, that's better. This group, 1, 2, 3, it's time to wake up. Not as good as last time. Over here, 1, 2, 3. It's time to wake up. You're still sleeping. I'm impressed over on this side of the room, so I will throw out the chocolates over here. Let's see. I can pull 3 of you here. Okay. Who's way in back? The gentleman was sleeping back there, so I can't throw it to you. Okay. The woman in the pink shirt? Somewhere back there. There you go. How about this row? This row? Oh, he does. Okay, there we go. One more. You do. Okay, it's time to wake up. For all of us to think about how technology is impacting us in different ways, shapes, and forms for access, for engagement, and for personalization or customization of one's learning. Because, again, there are so many ways out there. We have to start thinking about which of these technologies enable access for students who are in remote parts of the world who normally wouldn't have access to education. Which of these are for engagement? Because students after COVID are coming back, they're sleeping. What's going to engage? And then, of course, personalization, the ultimate goal, customization, AI technologies, right? So in terms of learning engagement, we've got technologies, immersive worlds, augmented reality, virtual reality, games, collaborations, hands-on learning, social learning, all the engaging technologies in front of our eyes. But again, students aren't sleeping. They're not engaged. So how do we engage students? Maybe it's through video-generated content like I showed you earlier, and so forth, pirate ships in a coffee cup, a woman walking down. That might be more engaging for our learners. A human bot in synesthesia, talking to us, a human image anyhow. Immersive worlds, having interactive lenses from Facebook or Meta, where you can see augmented reality, pop-up books to read text and watch a reenactment or simulation or animation through our lenswear that we're wearing. Whether we're studying the solar system or studying human anatomy or something else. Seeing the heartbeat, interacting in different ways in human medicine through technology from companies like Visible Body, and there are other ones out there as well. New Meta glasses, these are coming. Lightweight, price, still waiting for that price to come down on something like this before it makes a huge impact. To visualize chemistry. I got a video where they visualized chemistry, and I'm like, I never took chemistry. I didn't like the chemistry teacher. If they had this interactive lenswear to chemical elements, I probably would have enrolled in chemistry. Social media, to get students to do icebreakers and Padlet and other kinds of technologies to interact with each other about commonalities, about interests, about reasons why they're taking my course, commitments, what they're going to do in the course, maybe partner up with another student who's taking my class. These are my various students who took one of my classes. Learning is more collaborative. These women here escaped in one of the last planes out of Kabul, Afghanistan, before the Taliban came. They went to Bangladesh and are at Asian University for Women. They've written a book together as a team called Strong Schools, using press books. This woman here, that's Stephanie Pankey, who I mentioned this morning, has a free book on AI. She's working with these individuals to create their own book. She's at the University of North Carolina, but she's dedicating her life to helping people who are in the global south, if you will. Again, my podcast team, we brought them on my podcast show to talk about what they're doing. We've had several episodes on e-learning in Afghanistan on the podcast show. My colleague, Dr. Hee-Jung An, again, has been thinking about this new age of education where we build things, we do stuff. And she's created a model called the TMSR model. Sounds a lot like Taiwan Semiconductor. I just thought of that. I just listened to Morris Chang. Yeah, I listened to the podcast show. He's a brilliant guy. So her model: hands-on, minds-on, hearts-on, social-on. Tinkering, making, reflecting, and sharing. She's just written this up. So she's trying to get students in collaboration to do projects and to do more powerful types of learning. She's at William Patterson University in New Jersey. Okay, learning is more mobile. I've got my mobile phone on me. I can learn. I was trying to learn at lunch a little bit or before the early morning when Shelley, you came and I was checking my mobile for something. I apologize now, Shelley. I'm sorry, I was checking my mobile. But I'm learning from something on my mobile. I was actually interacting with my son. But here we've got someone who has a podcast show. And in his podcast show, each week he interviews different people who are leaders in the field of educational technology. And then he makes that a portal to those podcast shows to young people who are trying to learn and become expert in the field, right? So learning is always available wherever we happen to be, right? So learning is more mobile. My friend Hee-Jung An has her students create videos of their final projects and share them, put links to, and show robots in action that they have produced, and get the kids to share across schools, not only in their school, but across other schools. Again, in the same collaborative makerspace project, hands-on, minds-on, hearts-on, social-on project. I had this up here this morning, so I'll skip over that. I had this up this morning, but just, again, trying to get people to be active using these AI technology tools like Notebook LM, like Napkin, or like Sono for music, or Udio for music. Very simple kinds of uses of technologies. Have them create books, and maybe have them create the AI summary of the book, right? Possibility. Possibility. Again, I had this up this morning using the SMILE program to get students in interactive projects with one another, engage them in higher order thinking, reflect, 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 get them in challenges, get higher order thinking questions asked in competitions with one another, whether they're in Tanzania or they're in here, I guess maybe they might be in Taiwan or Korea or someplace. So it's time to wake up. In the middle group again, 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
1, 2, 3 on the left.
It's time to wake up.
Very good. Okay, that's a challenge. They were both good this time. Please try a little harder. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
She's not competitive, is she? Okay, I think everyone deserves one, so for that, smiling back there, there you go. Almost. Almost. And a friend who had a birthday coming up, there you go. Yes, okay. And way in the back of the room, One of the gentlemen back there, okay. It's time to wake up. Oh, we got a few left. All right. Okay, what do we got next here? Second part, pervasive access. This is important to so many hundreds of millions of people who previously on the other end of the digital divide in the global south, in the developing world, didn't have access to simple educational resources. Now they do. Learning today is more informal, learning on the fly, wherever we happen to be. You know, Wikipedia helps us in that regard, but there's so much more than Wikipedia today that helps us learn informally, right? We need more research on informal learning. So I have a question from earlier this morning, what's an area that I think needs to be focused on? And increasingly with AI, there will be more and more informal kinds of learning. How are we going to assess that? Some of the people I've done research with told me that if you assess my informal learning, I want out. I'm tired of schools always assessing everything I do. I just want to learn. I just want to learn for my own sake. Some people say to me, well, people drop out of MOOCs, or they don't complete the whole MOOC. Some people aren't there to learn the whole thing. They're just here for a piece. We tend to think that all learning has to be a course. It might be just a module from that course, maybe be a piece of that course. Get people interested. I don't talk about dropout rates, I talk about drop-in rates. If you've got 100,000 people dropping in and 5,000 complete, that's okay. You got another 95 they dropped in for a bit. They learned, hopefully they learned something. We could maybe try and get a sense of why they came in, what their goals are, what their mission was, how their lives were impacted. Was it impacted in a different way across different phases of one's life? Some people are looking for graduate school entrance. They're relearning their maths. Some people are looking at a new career. So they're thinking about toying around with a different occupation, or maybe upskilling in the workplace, get a job promotion. Or maybe they're about ready to retire and starting a new business. There are many reasons why one dabbles in, and I've interviewed several people from across the age and lifespan. Teenage kids, just trying to find a career option, right? All sorts of different ways. So learning is more accessible through open educational resources. Free books, and articles, videos, and so forth, right? Text documents, reports, government reports. This semester, I threw away my monster syllabus. I started a new one. Okay? I'm using special issues of journals, every week a different special issue, or government reports. Government reports are free. We used to have the Department of Ed in the United States. We might not have one tomorrow. Anyways, so free and open and online, immediate. So learning can be immediate. We don't have to wait for publishers to put it in books 3 years later. When new dinosaurs are discovered in China, it seems like every month a new dinosaur is discovered in China. If you're teaching paleontology, you better be using online news articles because it's not going into research articles fast enough. So, pervasive access to information, because a large section of humanity now needs that. They're starting to get internet access. A third of humanity is still offline. Think about that. How many billions of people that is? Almost 3 billion, right? 2.5 billion people are still offline. Of course, this is a year ago, and this is constantly changing. These numbers are constantly changing, right? Arizona State, I mentioned earlier, Arizona State is one of the most progressive universities, especially in terms of technology, in the United States. If you think about graduate school, you're filming this, right? Nobody, yeah. Go to Arizona State, okay? You can come to Indiana, I'm happy to. I'm happy to give a tour if you come visit me, sure. Yeah. Take you to ice cream, get good ice cream. Chocolate mousse. But anyways, Arizona State, they're playing with, practicing, they're experimenting with many technology tools. They got so much going on there. That's the Starbucks education project. Everybody at Starbucks can get a 2-year degree. Arizona State has the courses online. Now a 4-year degree if you work at Starbucks. Fascinating. They're partners with them. Arizona State partnered with OpenAI So every student at Arizona State has access to advanced ChatGPT, advanced AI tools for free, right? Well, here they're creating YouTubeversity. They have YouTube videos for the courses, and having students go through those and get course credit. They have something called Study Hall and something called Crash Course you can take a look at and look up their projects at Arizona State. Young people. Young people today are the ones learning online. I'm talking about 18 to 25, 30-year-olds. They want to be upskilled and get jobs. Digital marketing skills, right? Coding skills, right? Video production. That's where they're going to make their mark. They're going to find a job. Collaboration online. Playing music with others around the world. That's really cool. I have a student who wanted to do a dissertation on this with an orchestra conductor, with students playing around the world, people playing from around the world. But global collaboration, online learning doesn't have to be solitary. It doesn't have to be the worry that I pointed out this morning when she asked the question. I said, I'm worried about people learning alone with AI. But much of learning is with Kakao Talk in Korea, Line here in Taiwan and Thailand, WeChat in mainland China, Messenger in Facebook in the USA, Instagram, WhatsApp in the Middle East. There's different social media for wherever we happen to be in the world. But we don't have to learn solitary all the time. It could be a mix, back and forth. That has to be figured out. I think research should be done on the mix between synchronous and asynchronous worlds. And then in the 1990s, I had a book on async learning, electronic collaborators. In the 2000s, I started studying synchronous learning, which I find both are interesting, but I'm more interested today in synchronous, actually. So one of my students was studying these kids in Western China and Central China whose parents have gone off to the big city and they're living with grandparents. And they're in schools where their teachers don't know English well enough, so that English teachers coming from Shanghai or from Beijing or from a distance through Zoom or other synchronous technologies. So it's changing kids' lives through synchronous technologies. This is one of my class sessions. You can see people are coming from all around the world just to sit in. Anyone can come and sit in through synchronous every week. I recorded in a playlist for the end of the semester, synchronous. I showed Pictory earlier here. In higher education, online instructors have lecture notes. They want to change to videos. Many times it's hard. It's hard to create videos by themselves. They lack the time, they lack the skills. So Pictory will choose the background images and so forth. They can choose background images, male, female voices, different accents. Students do not want to read articles. Instructors can turn audio files or videos to listen to. We can post those formats, those articles, the audio video files, like audiobooks. Younger generations seem to like listening or watching over reading. We talked about Gen X last night at dinner. Gen X people probably want to listen to the book and the syllabus rather than have the instructor read it to them, right? This is again my podcast show. Every week we're up online. We had talked about immersive worlds in Africa. We talked about K-12 school change with this episode. We talked about penguins, the Adelie penguin. My friend studies the Adelie penguin in Antarctica. We've had a couple shows on that. We're trying to get engaging learning happening, talking about new models of education every week. Outreach, you notice outreach of the penguins. The guys who know 14 languages. They have a company called Language Boost. These are YouTubers who teach languages online. I found their website and they had a fake interview of Barack Obama at their website. So that got me intrigued. Talking about, they had Barack Obama talk about WebCP, talk about ChatGPT, I would take that back. That was really interesting. Yeah, that's all the languages they know. Polyglots. I'm jealous. We've had shows on, universal design for learning. We've had shows on new forms of instructional design, personalized learning, and so forth. Again, we've had many people teaching languages online, YouTubers, and so forth. And so learning is more informal, more video-based. Go back a second. learning is more immediate. Learning is more immediate. So we have a 300,000-year-old skull found in China. Again, you don't have to wait for it to get the textbook. It can be immediate. It can be immediate. 46,000-year-old worm found in the permafrost of Siberia. International team of scientists have found this worm that's 46,000 years old and survived using techniques similar to those of a modern lab. So can we bring long since extinct animals back to life? This is happening now, you know, or those frozen in time, can we bring them back? Open courseware, so learning is more open, okay? They're using open educational resources, open contents from MIT to train students in Africa. 2,500 courses from MIT for free. It's almost every course. They have 447 mirror sites. That means people have downloaded the entire contents of MIT and put it up at their university so they don't have to go across the ocean to access the contents. They had 49 podcast shows, episodes talking about how to use this. All of this has just exploded. Millions of people using free and open contents. This is a new age for learning today. This woman is using that open educational content. I'm forever grateful to MIT OpenCourseware for making knowledge accessible and fostering a network of curious minds, all striving to share, expand, apply this knowledge for greater good. So she was interviewed by MIT OpenCourseware. You can click that link and read about how she uses the contents. But you can see different stories that they've had about young people using MIT OpenCourseware. Now this woman won a hero award. She's a hero on CNN because she's working with students in East Africa. There's Kenya. Kenya. She's refurbishing old computers and putting open educational resources on them so they can take classes or learn from contents from America and UK and other places on the system. It's automatically in there. So changing people's lives. That's what this is about. There's now a website called Open Asia, Open Access Asia, I should say. In Open Access Asia, almost 1,000 publishers are involved, 4,259 journals, 37 countries in Asia, which are providing greater access and improving readership of journal articles, and reflecting on the quality of the content that's online. So you can click on different countries and find the open access journals and articles and share them, use them in your classrooms. And you don't have to rely on textbooks and have students pay lots and lots and lots of money. So open access becomes one of the key things today, open access to content. California, Governor Schwarzenegger, so Governor California. He said, you know, we've got a $32 billion deficit. How can we address the budget crisis? One way was open textbooks, because California spent $2 billion on textbooks alone. So today they serve mostly K-12 and community colleges. So at the community college level, what does it say up here? 23 community colleges produce 34 zero-cost textbooks, saving 23,000 students approximately $42 million just from that project alone. So people are saving money, they're increasing access, they're increasing readability or viewers, and so forth. I've just done a special issue of a journal, and the publisher made it open access. We then turned the special issue into a book. So the third book, which I said I have 3 free books, is this one. This is on the research on online learning. Systematic reviews of the research on online learning. We made it available. Now, this book if you will, is available at EdTech Books. Brigham Young University has created a website for free books in educational technology called EdTech Books. My other 2 books are in EdTech Books as well. People at Brigham Young University are worried about the price of books, BYU. And so they've got hundreds of books, I think, in the last couple of years alone. So if you teach in the educational technology space, you might want to check that out and take a look. As I said, this past semester, I had my students reading special journal issues that were online. This is among the journals that my students read from, free and open access, current articles. You know, I try to use only articles from the last few years. I told you I have a book called The World is Open, Now the World is Closed. I guess we saw the closed world earlier. The world is open, and it's in Chinese as well as English and Arabic and so forth. But as I go around the world, people greet me like this. The world is open. So you can see my friends in Singapore, that's how they greet me. In Bangkok, in Sri Pratang, they greet me like this. In Illinois, in USA, in Taiwan, in Kaohsiung, 7 years ago. In Japan, they keep greeting me in Japan, wherever I went on the streets and so forth. So I wonder if we got a camera person, someone's got a camera in the room. Let's get everyone to do the world is open sign with me. Here, where's our camera person? I think my camera's run out of batteries, so Janice is gonna come down and take this, and I can run up with it. Okay. Oh, we're gonna get a camera person. Okay, so while she's grabbing and getting a camera person, this World is Open book talks about e-books, immersive worlds, open education, personalized learning, gamification of education, collaborative technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality, all this stuff. They are opening the world in different ways. Open courseware, open source software. You've got a camera, okay, she can go down in front and help us out. All of us, we can do this. All right, and I'll be here with my friend Shelly, and we can do the world is open sign. Okay, on this side of the room. 1, 2, 3. The world is open. 1, 2, 3. The world is open. Okay. You got it? Okay, the other side of the room. Okay, we can do it on the other side of the room. Over here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, it's time to wake up. 1, 2, 3. And this side of the room. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
In the middle. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
That was the worst you did the whole time. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
And over here, my group that's winning this event all the time. Yeah.
It's time to wake
You
up.
have to say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
All right. Everyone did great. It is time to wake up. I see we have a half hour left. It will not take me that long. So we will have Q&A here in a little bit. The third module is personalization and customization of learning. Now, we've had some people really good. And who was that back here? I'm trying to think. Was the person sleeping here on the side? Yes. And my cameraman definitely needs it. And the lady smiling over there. They're great. Nice catch. Okay. So learning is more customized, more individualized. It's massive open online courses, right? Massive learning. It's more modular, learning in little bits, right? Or modifiable. Our desks, we can move the desks around, the tables, we can re-establish classroom space, if you will. It's more blended, more self-directed, more passive. All these things are helping to individualize the learning. We now have high flex instead of blended. This term high flex, we can come face to face or we can go online, right? We can choose. It's harder to do high flex, but students can learn more perhaps from a high flex type of environment. So again, there are 30 ways that learning is changing in front of our eyes. Here we've got a doctor coming in to talk to a patient via holographic image, talking to the patient. The doctor might be located hundreds of kilometers or miles away, and there he is on the spot, telling the patient the results, or giving advice on treatment, or advice on exercise routines, whatever it happens to be. I had the bots up here earlier today, the AI Tutor Pro, the AI Teaching Assistant Pro. So learning is more on demand at places like Contact North in Canada, which is providing us with free education for integrating technology in the classroom. I highly recommend you check out Contact North. They usually every week or every couple weeks have a webinar on new and emerging technologies for learning. and now lately AI technologies. I'm a research fellow, so I'll just point out, I'm a research fellow with Contact North. So you'll see that I'm giving webinars every couple of months with them, and others are as well. So learning is more on-demand English with your robot support technology today. Very popular in Korea. I'm sure it's probably popular in Taiwan as well, or it will be next time I come here. Mini-me, some professors are creating their own chatbots. There are little mini-me out there that students can interact with. Maybe we can offload some of our academic life to our bot that can answer student questions so they can get the first wave of questions before it gets more specific issues. Learning is more on demand so that I put in my article in ChatGPT and I get the result. Or article in ChatPDF and I get, just on demand, whatever I want. I can talk to ChatPDF, ChatGPT, and so forth. On demand, I can find out anything I need. Learning is more blended. A blended environment where we have students face-to-face, students coming in online. So we blend the environments. In 2006, I edited the Handbook of Blended Learning, Global Perspectives, Local Designs. And it's too thick, don't buy the book. But go to my website and get chapters 1 and 39 free if you're interested in reading anything. We had chapters from around the world, mainland China, Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia. Notice I didn't mention Taiwan, that was until my next book. Africa, South Africa, and other parts of the world in that book. Everybody who's doing blended learning was doing it differently. There's no one model for blended learning, right? There's no one model. But my former student, Brian here, Brian Beatty, he's at San Francisco State University, he created the high flex approach. Have you heard of high flex? Very popular during COVID. Students can attend face-to-face or online, they choose. Do you want to online or you want to come face-to-face? Hybrid learning. Anyone ever heard of hybrid? What does that mean, hybrid learning? No, Webster's dictionary says hybrid is the interbreeding of 2 or more species of animals to create a mongrel. Okay, I prefer blended, so hybrid. But the military in the US uses hybrid. They like to be fancy-dancy in the military. I was helping the military, they use hybrid. But in higher ed, typically we use blended. For a while it was used, they called it mixed. And now Brian has people talking about high flex. Now, 2002, people bought dartboards. You know what a dartboard is? Why did they buy a dartboard? Because they put Brian's picture up there and they hated high flex learning. Boom, 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 boom. Okay? They either love Brian or they hate Brian. Now, Brian's a good friend of mine. He's taught K-12, high school. He's taught in the Navy ships. He's taught in corporate training and higher education. He's at San Francisco State. Brilliant guy. But this high flex thing, it's not that easy, okay? Because you have to prepare for some students coming online, or maybe they come face to face. You don't know, right? You don't know which way they're going to come that week, and so forth. So, yeah. Okay. Learning is more self-determined, self-directed. Duolingo. The people we interviewed using Duolingo to learn Japanese, or Spanish, or Chinese, they are learning at night, some of them after work. They are learning in the morning. They're learning the same time of the day. They have rituals, maybe. They learn through games. There's listening. They listen. They speak. There's vocabulary tests in this. Practice listening to sentences spoken and then pronounce it yourself. But it's self-directed. There is some group involvement. You can get involved in people learning the same language and talk to them and so forth. It's really self-directed learning. It's an example of learning base knowledge. It's really not comprehensive in terms of, it's not going to replace the course necessarily that you were taking in Spanish or Japanese, but it will help. It will get you some basic confidence. Most people learning in Duolingo want to talk to their neighbor who might be from Spain originally, might want to get on the subway in Paris and learn French, right? They might want to get on the trains in Europe, or might want to go to Japan on vacation and use Japanese. Lots of people are wanting to learn Japanese for some reason. We interviewed. So learning is more self-directed. We need billions of self-directed learners, self-directed online learners, right? Because self-directed learners are more self-confident, right? They have more self-efficacy about their learning and so forth. They have more perseverance. They're more flexible kinds of learners. They're more self-aware. They have wider range of interests. They have more social skills oftentimes. There are a lot of benefits to being a self-directed learner. So these are among our self-directed learners. This is a picture of Indiana University. Picture of one of our experimental classrooms for teacher training. We can move the chairs. Everything's movable. All the chairs in the room are movable. And we have whiteboards on the walls across. So learning is more modular. Learning is more modifiable. Increasingly, we're no longer having bolted down desks like in this room. Of course, in this room, it would kind of be hard if you had movable because you'd fall off the edge, right? So you probably need that support. Learning is more personalized. A week before I came to Thailand, so 3 weeks ago, we had people who were using the Khan Academy. Khan Academy is some system you may have heard of to help with students of math, initially just math, now to English, every content. So that's Salman Khan from the Khan Academy. He initially built this website for teaching his nieces and nephews geometry and algebra. And then it exploded. Thousands of people were getting taught. And then Bill Gates gave him $10 million to create assessments around it. And then more, and then more. So now he's built Keynote, which is a chatbot that can help students with their physics or with their chemistry and so forth. The school district we brought in was near Chicago. It was in Indiana, but near Chicago. They were on what's called 60 Minutes in America, a special TV show for how the kids were learning. So I recommend you take a look at his new book. It's called Brave New Words. Salman Khan's new book, Brave New Words. But I only give it a 7.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not a perfect book, but it'll get you thinking about using AI in education, both K-12 and higher education. What they're doing at Conmigo, in the Khan Academy, they partnered with who? Arizona State University. Arizona State partners with everybody, and what they've done is, in biology 345, they increased student performance. The teacher says, I got an ovation at the end of junior level course, biology, and also at the end of class on zombies. The results of first effort were impressive. In the first semester, we saw passing rates for non-biology majors increasing, improving by 24%, and dropouts reducing by 90%. So this is their model for adaptive forms of learning. I'm not going to go through that, but these are their models for this biology course. They're increasing retention, they're increasing grades, they're reducing dropout rates through more personalized forms of learning biology. Learning is more personalized because now we can select the voice of our chatbots or of our audio files, and maybe have them have a friendly tone, a cheerful tone, excited tone, hopeful tone, chat, terrified, whispering, angry. You can decide on the personality of your bot, okay? Or the nationality of your bot. Have it be an actor with an AI voice, with a UK voice. Learning is more modular. So instead of getting 30 credits, 10 courses to get a master's, now we might take 4 courses and get a micro-credential, a nano degree, a certificate, if you will. And this is increasing. I think the majority of university degrees will be certificates and nano degrees and micro-credentials in 10 years. Most students will come for this. Short bursts of learning, short bits of learning. It's becoming mainstream today. There's a book called The Great Upheaval, Higher Education, Past, Present, and Future by Arthur Levine and Scott Van Pelt. Scott was on my podcast show a couple of years ago. So today, students want non-degree credentials, want skills training, associate degrees, not as much graduate degrees and undergraduate degrees. That's the focus, right? MOOCs. You can see the numbers here from when I taught the first MOOC in Indiana, 2012, to 2022. They can no longer track it because it's no longer trackable. Every MOOC is now self-paced and it starts every day. Okay, you can start at any time. but we're talking about 200 million learners in 2022 learning from a massive open online course, some of which are assessed and some of which are not. We got almost 20,000 courses out there, 1,600 micro-credentials, 220 million students, 1,000 universities doing this. It started with the big ones, Duke, Stanford, Illinois, Virginia. I've got 3 books. One person in here, Arthur, was Arthur in here? He was with me, took a picture with me earlier. Arthur? Is he gone? He took my picture and then he left. I'm surprised he didn't take all the chocolates too. Okay, all right. This is Arthur's advisor in Georgia. He got his degree in 2007, Dr. Tom Reeves. He's my partner in 3 books. Dr. Tom Reeves from Georgia, Tom Reynolds from National University, Mimi Lee, a former IU person at Houston, and Dr. Kajan at Kennesaw State. The 4 of us have done 5 of us, have done 3 books on MOOCs and open education, including MOOCs and open education in the global south, where students are maybe addressing climate change issues or environmental issues and problems. Where my friends in Nepal, we interviewed a lot of these kids in our research project, a lot of the teachers we interviewed on how students in Nepal are learning English online. This is, where is that? Right there. That's Bayman, and this is Bishwa. He works for the U.S. Consulate. Bayman works for Motherland Secondary School. Bayman has created a network of students, high school students, middle school students, learning from MOOCs to learn English to get prepped for college. And it exploded beyond English. And they were all, this is before COVID. Then during COVID, they were taking dozens of these MOOCs on many topics, finance, chemistry, physics, anatomy. They were creating a network, a couple kids to over 100 MOOCs during COVID. The parents were worried as internet access went up in Nepal, they thought they were going to play games, and they came home and the kids were learning from Harvard and Stanford. Pretty amazing stuff going on. So we interviewed them for a couple of research articles. If you want to read those articles, just send me a note. It came out last year, the year before, and so forth. Yeah. They wrote a chapter in my MOOCs and Open Ed book. So the kids, this is one student. 72 courses so far, mostly from Coursera. A grade 10 student from a public school where English is taught only for about 3 hours a week. He blindly jumps into any course he finds suitable for learning English, whether it's global health policy, or introduction to psychology, or nanotechnology, or global health policy. This is amazing. Again, I couldn't get accepted into some of these schools, at any of these schools. Today, we can learn all the time. You know, there's a book called Learning at the Back Door, Reflections on Non-Traditional Learning Across the Lifespan by Charles Wedemeyer. It's about non-traditional learning. Today, learning is non-traditional. Today, we no longer have to go in the front door of the school to learn. We can go to the back door, the side door, no door at all. But we can always be learning, downloading new contents to learn. It's an exciting time. What is this today? This is the learning century. We're no longer in the 20th century. What was that called? The post-industrial age, right? The global communication age. We're now in the learning age, right? There's a project at Stanford. They've been on my podcast show, all 3 of them. It's called Code in Place. A free class on coding from Stanford. Imagine there's young people in Nepal or in Thailand or wherever taking coding from Stanford for free. And there's no teacher. But there's many teachers. There are 3,000 volunteer teachers who have previously taken the course and want to help other people learn the contents, offering their services for free. This is new age learning. You've got 3,000 people volunteering to teach other people all around the world for free. It's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. You got 30,000 students in 3 years to try and democratize education and educational access. This gentleman here has created the 100 Million Learner Project, he and his wife. Made a lot of money in the Silicon Valley, he gave it back. Where did he give the money back to? Arizona State University to create the 100 Million Learner Project. We can learn global entrepreneurship. We can learn digital marketing. We can learn leadership skills. We can learn financial accounting. We can learn data analytics. Some of it is created by robots at midnight, late night, but most by humans interacting all around the world. Fascinating idea to try and help those in the developing world learn and get a certificate from that learning, right? So it's still time to wake up. I think I have a couple of chocolates left. I only have a couple left, so let's see. Okay. Everyone on the count of 3 will say it's time to wake up. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
You got one already, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Hey! Thanks for the question earlier. So we're getting near the end here, but those are the 30 ways that learning is changing in front of our eyes. Learning is more collaborative, more global, more online, more blended, more massive, more hands-on, more game-like, more immersive. Again, I've got an article about each of these ways. More communal, more ubiquitous, more immediate, more informal, more social, more adventurous. I didn't talk about half of these. There's much more that in this 30 ways that learning is changing, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. If I was a young person today, starting over, so many paths I could go down, right? Also, we have to think about learning across the lifespan. So my former student, Roki Brandon, who's now the vice provost at University of Washington, has written an article on the 60-year curriculum from age 18 to 22 to age 80 to 85. 60-year universities have to think about bringing people back to continue to upskill and reskill and relearn and so forth. And we have to think about learning from professional degrees, undergraduate degrees, or coding camps, or short courses, nano degrees, or YouTubeversity. There are many paths, many options, many possibilities for one's learning today. It's an amazing time to live, but it's hard to figure out your place in this space. It's hard to figure out the universities, the possible degrees, programs that one can offer to excite people, to bring people back to universities in Taiwan as the birth rates have come down. Not just Taiwan, in Korea, in New Zealand, in Japan. So this is the area that now lifelong learning has to explode. It has to keep, we have to keep learning and upskilling and reskilling in order to have the university structures that we have now in place, right? We have to think about learning in the third age, after we retire. And Shelley retired last year. She's learning in the third age in the glacier in Alaska, wherever she happens to be all around the world. So, questions about learning engagement. Will those engagement questions change as Gen AI tools, generative AI pedagogy, fosters a more immersive learning, blended forms of learning, visually based forms of learning with Sora, with Notebook LM, with Napkin, and these other the Smile technology tools. As we have more tools like that, will the questions about engagement change or shift in some way, shape, or form? So it's time to wake up. One last time. Okay, I think I have one chocolate left. Okay, all my chocolates. We can blame a couple of the previous universities. It's still, actually I spoke in a high school on Saturday, and the kids and teachers, they got a lot of chocolate. Let's just say. Okay, 1, 2, 3, everybody.
It's time to wake up.
Wow, that's great. 1, 2, 3.
It's time to wake up.
I think I went to that side a lot already, and I think I've gone to this side a lot already, so somewhere in the middle. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3 in the middle.
It's time to wake up.
And the lady with the pink computer, way back there. Look at that, it landed right. Okay, all right. So is this a learning evolution or revolution? Who says it's a evolution? Who says it's a revolution?
Both.
Who says it's both? Go with Shelley, okay? She's a famous professor from Taiwan. Go with Shelley. Her son was in my class 2012. Jason, her son was in my class and told me about his famous mother. Actually, so we won't jump again, we'll go beyond that, but we do want to repeat this. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone. You know, I can't do this alone. I need many of your helps. Please invite me back in a few years when we have more AI technologies to talk about. Of course, it won't take 2 or 3 years. It might take 6 months or 2 months for a lot of new change, and my research will continue to evolve. If you do research in AI, please share it with me. You know, if there are conferences coming up that are important for people to think about going to, please send it to me. If you see other free books on AI pedagogy, send it to me. I can share them with others. I try and create a platform, a portal for sharing information. Because why? Because I cannot do this alone. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I cannot do this alone. Thank you very much. Okay, again, my notes are up there at Training Share. My publications are Publication Share. I've enjoyed my time in Thailand and in Taiwan. This is the end of that trip. I'll get dinner tonight with Cindy, and then I'll shoot off to the airport. Late night flight at 11 p.m. tonight. So this day, Tuesday, will last forever for me. It will not end until I get to Seattle. It'll still be Tuesday, okay? And I'll be in the airport 5 hours, and it'll be Tuesday. I'll get on a plane heading to Indianapolis, and sometime over Montana, it'll turn to Wednesday. But it won't turn to Wednesday for a long time. Again, thank you very much for coming twice. We're going to have a panel soon. We have 5 minutes, maybe. I got 25 after, and so we do have time. 6 minutes. 6 or 7. Yeah, so we have time for questions, comments, suggestions. Yes, please.
This is a continuation of my question in the morning.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to the second question, did we?
The question is about assessment security, test security. Some of my colleagues are very apprehensive about uploading their students' work or books and ask for test item generations and whatnot, summaries and so on. What do you have to say about that? Because all of the learning situations that you've mentioned so far are low stakes, like lifelong happy learning, right? But there are also higher stakes situations.
Yeah. Back in October, I had this question at Thammasat University in Bangkok. And the question was, what about my students' work that might then go to the large language model and be used? So that's going to have to be an institutional policy address to address that kind of thing. How will an institution foster that security around that privacy data? How will you not allow OpenAI and other companies that form out there, Microsoft, Google, and all these, to have the student papers or the instructor papers go into the training of these new platforms? I guess one way is to use a password-protected system. I'm not a security expert, but I would assume that a password-protected system would at least provide that layer of support so that they would have to be able to get bridged through that somehow. And so I would use Moodle, use Canvas, use Black. What learning management system do you use?
The university has quite a lot.
Quite a lot of different systems.
Microsoft Teams.
Teams. Yeah, Teams, but it depends if you record it or not. If it's not recorded, it will never go into the LMM, right? So it depends how you are saving the recordings.
The issue is more like uploading things to ChatGPT. Whatever.
Oh, you mean if they upload their own work and ask ChatGPT to do something with it? And once that paper's been uploaded, it automatically goes into the system for future LMM processing, right? Yeah, I will try to understand that and have a better answer than I have for you right now, but I'm not a security person, and I don't think universities have solved that problem. And so it's a caution against the use of AI, it really is. Maybe you have to form a departmental policy, school-wide policy, a college policy, or a university policy, or maybe it's a policy for your class. Maybe you don't, because if it's a big concern, maybe you don't use AI for students to upload their work, or you talk about, here's what we're gonna use AI for, but I'm not gonna ban it, but I'm gonna caution you against uploading any of your own work because it might be later used in such a setting. So you can have maybe a 15-minute conversation with your students during the first week of classes about the norms and about what you've seen happen in the past and about student concerns that you've had in the past. To say, these were the concerns student brought up last semester. We decided to do this in terms of this class. We're not going to have students utilize ChatGPT for X, Y, Z. So you might have a set of, so here, in my syllabus from the spring, I had a whole bunch of policies that I added to it, and I'm happy to share with you those policies. If you go to my homepage and you look at R678, Emerging Learning Technologies, spring of 2025, you can get my policies for AI. I forgot. So that might help, but I think there's a lot that I put in. I mean, not like a page, but we'll need to do more. That was the first time I ever did that. But I learned from someone else, my former student at UT Austin in Texas. He added, he asked me to review a syllabus. I thought, well, this is great. The policies about AI and the cautions and all this. And then I asked if I could use them, and he said, yeah. And then I found more. So it's a start. So I would, and I can give you my card and we can talk. Okay, we got 1 minute before the big panel.
Yeah.
Anything else before the panel?
That's one question before our tea break.
Yes, please, right behind you.
Thank you, Professor Funk. That's very informative. And I believe we have all waken up, including students. They are using AI like crazy. And sometimes as a teacher teaching English composition, I often find that I'm reading robots. And they can write, if you ask them to summarize a video or an article, they ask AI to do it. And you ask them to write a reflection, they ask AI to do it. So I'm wondering if we still need to teach them the core skills for writing, like grammar is important and sentence structure is important. Things like that. Do we still need to teach that? Because now we don't see that students want to learn those things as they turn in assignments using AI.
Spelling, grammar, all that stuff. Yeah, I was really glad when teachers didn't check my spelling because I couldn't spell. But no, so I think that it's going to be multi-pronged approach. It's going to have to be some discussion. It's going to have to be some examples. It's going to have to be some, and then some use of the plagiarism detection tools that I showed you, the free tool. Just cut and paste into that. That'd be relatively easy to do. And then you turn the paper, you just turn it back to them. Say, this is not acceptable. So it's going to have to be a multi-pronged approach. There won't be one answer. There'll be many pieces that will help deter it, won't eliminate it. Do you know that in Michigan, University of Michigan, top school, one of the top schools in America, a dummy got a degree. They got the mannequin a social security number and got him into every class, and he got a grade for every class. And at commencement, they brought the mannequin up there and get his degree. It's a fake mannequin, okay? You've seen this Coca-Cola bottle commercial where the student puts all the answers on the label of the Coca-Cola can. Takes them 4 hours to write this whole thing up and put the label on the can to have all the answers for the statistics class. If he just studied for 4 hours, he would know this, not 3 hours. It took him more time to create the Coca-Cola can thing. The students are doing all sorts of stuff. We're never going to eliminate it. We're going to reduce it, address it to the best degree that we can. And today is going to have to be a multi-pronged approach, is my point. And you'll learn different things that will help you address this. And there's got, Virginia had an ethics oath, kind of thing. Maybe that's something. There were 25 ways to reduce plagiarism back in the early days of the internet. 2009 had a workshop on. There's 25 different ways. There was no one way that solved all the problems. But there are ways to address it. And that's where I think we'll learn more about it. I think that free tool will be one solution that will be helpful. I think bringing back prior students to the class who have already graduated to talk about the issues that were faced and what assignments they selected, and that might help too, to kind of set the standard in the bar. Having examples of prior student work will also help. I mean, there's all sorts of things that create classroom community to lower the student preference towards plagiarism, to get them excited about, we can have prior students talk about the importance of the content. They won't listen to instructors all day, but they'll hear their peers talk about that. That might be another way to elevate the excitement level in the classroom for what you're teaching. So I've done that. I've brought people back into my class. We need to go to the panel. Again, I want to thank everyone. I'm going to be the final commenter on the panel, and then after that, I will ask for 3 words. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So now is our